Hey guys, happy Vlogmas, and as you can tell by the title of the video, today I'm going to be telling you a story. Dum, dum, dum. So today's video, let me move y'all back some. I feel like y'all all up in my grill. You all up in my grill. Okay, that's better. So today's story is going to be about the time I was expelled from school. College. We're talking college. We're not talking high school. We're not talking a 10-day suspension. We're talking about full expulsion from a university, and then subsequently why I decided to disassociate, denounce myself from my sorority or being involved in a sorority altogether. So oh y'all. So I have my phone here because y'all know I have to have notes. I think we've established this by now. I just want to make sure that I stay on course and this isn't an hour-long video because girl, I could talk. So I have my notes here. If you see me looking down, that is what I'm doing. I am referring to the notes, aka talking points that I have set for myself so I don't ramble. So I want to be clear and make sure that I say that this is not an anti-sorority video, right? I am not anti-sorority. If you like them, I love them. I have friends that are still active in them. I have friends that are still looking to be active in them, and I am 100% supportive of that. I will be at your probate, if they still do probates when you're damn near 40, with the right color balloons and jackets and t-shirts in my hand. I just am not into them personally. You know, I'm not here to stamp them as elitist and say that they should be obsolete or anything like that. Although, how annoying. Y'all, please bear with me and the ghetto that is the noise around my apartment, and also the sun that won't let me be great. Now, it would be a lie for me to say that I don't think that sororities and fraternities, and I'm speaking in relation to black ones because that's all I know, right? I don't think that they are exclusionary or separatist organizations. I do think that, right? But I don't think that they're any different than any other like organization or organized organization or anything like that. But that's not my issue with it. So just wanted to make that clear. If you like it, I love it, go you. But let's talk about this expulsion, because that's really why we're here. We're really here to talk about why I was expelled from school. I was the first person in my family to go to college, as I feel like many people were in my class. I just feel like my class was full of first-time college students and things like that. I came out of high school in 2002, so I started college in the fall of 2002, and it just seemed that there was a bunch of us that were first-generation college students in that year. And so if you happen to be a first-generation college student, you are familiar with how it could feel both like a huge accomplishment and privilege, but also like a burden because you're the one that got out, or you know, you are the one that is going to make something of yourself. Or if you're like me, you have this idea that because you're going to college and you're going to get this degree, this is what's going to change the legacy of your family. Like, you are rewriting your family's history. So I personally went to college with all of this on my back, right? I personally went to college thinking that this is my shot to change the trajectory of my family, to change our legacy. So I entered college, as I said, with all of this pressure, but I also was an 18-year-old from East St. Louis, Illinois. You know, I moved right out of the projects into a college dorm room, and so I had a hard time acclimating to my new environment. So I was definitely still rough around the edges, and my acclimation to college life was just, it didn't start off the easiest. It just did not. It wasn't the school part, like getting up, going to class, doing the work. That wasn't hard for me. That type of stuff just sort of comes natural, and if I'm not good at something, I'm really good at studying. So like, that wasn't the issue for me. It was the social aspect of college that was probably the most difficult for me. I definitely had a couple altercations a few altercations. A couple of them may have ended in an actual fight. Okay, so they did end in actual fights. So I was very much still Angie from the block and trying to still exist in that and then exist in this new environment. So it wasn't easy for me starting off, especially because I came to college with a group of friends from high school. So I already had my core friends. I could have just existed in that bubble and been totally fine. But when I left for school, I had in my mind that I would go and meet new people and have new experiences and all of those things. And so I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone to go out and meet people. And eventually I found my way. I started joining like different like school activity boards and stuff like that, just to like be a part of something and meet new people, which is also completely against who I naturally was. I am not a joiner. I don't like group things. I don't like group think. I don't like group activities. I've never been on a team. I've never played a sport. I've never done an organized anything because I just have always been a very like individualist style person. I grew up in a house with 5 other siblings, 4 siblings and a cousin, and sometimes more cousins, and I've always just been individual even in that environment. In high school I hung with a big old group of girls. It was like 15 or more of us, and we hung out pretty much on a daily basis. And even in that group I was very much an individual. And so being a part of like organized things, like I said, that requires you to have like group think, to do things with people on a regular basis, follow a whole bunch of rules and stuff like that, it just never has been my thing. But as I said, I was really trying to step out of my comfort zone and, you know, have different experiences in college. And as I said, eventually I found my way. So one thing that I immediately like found myself being interested in when I entered college was the role of the college queen. So I went to Lincoln University initially in Missouri, and if you are not familiar with HBCUs and their king and queen positions, these are like the top positions at historically black colleges and universities. It's right up it's right up there with like SGA president and things like that. And before I wanted to do anything else, I wanted to do that. That was probably one of the first things that like caught my attention. But I was initially like, you can't be Miss Lincoln because you don't have what it takes. You don't have what it takes. You're too rough around the edges. People aren't going to believe you in that position. So I never really told anybody about my interest in Miss Lincoln. I just kind of held it in the back of my mind and just sort of watched the position from afar and things like that. But I started sort of trying to position myself in a light where I felt like people would see me as Miss Lincoln. One of the things that I did when it came close to time to run for Miss Lincoln, I looked at ways to build my social capital. I wasn't by any means unpopular. Like, it was a small campus. Everybody pretty much knew everybody. And as I said, I was on the student activity board and things like that. So I knew people. People knew me. But I didn't feel like I had enough social capital to win Miss Lincoln, because quite honestly at that point all of the student leadership positions were filled by people that were in Greek-led organizations. Like, it didn't really seem like anybody else had a chance to win anything if you weren't a part of one. So in my mind, so let me go back. I did start putting fillers out there, you know, just to say, hey, I may be interested in running for Miss Lincoln. What do you think people's reaction to that would be? And I got, for the most part, positive feedback, but I did, you know, hear different rumblings of people bringing up when I first got to college and me being in fights and, you know, having an attitude problem and being ghetto and just all of that stuff or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, so maybe I don't have enough social capital, so I have to find it. So that's where my idea to join a sorority came from. I'd never had real interest in joining one. Now, of course, when I first got to college, I was super intrigued by it because I didn't know anybody that was a part of a sorority. But that immediately was just like, I was like, that really doesn't, like, that's too much of like group think, group activity, group stuff. Like, I really wasn't interested in it. And then once my best friend pledged, I really was like, oh no, like that ain't for me, right? That ain't, she flourishes in it. That ain't for me. But I wanted to be Miss Lincoln, and I felt like that was the only way that I was going to win. I was very strategic about the organization that I chose to join, because although they weren't super big, they didn't have like super big numbers as far as like how many people was in the chapter, and they didn't have as much like turnout to interest meetings as other organizations did. They were so well liked on campus. They had like such a diverse group of like personalities, and people just loved them. People loved them, and I felt like they could give me the social capital that I needed to win Miss Lincoln. And so I went and I showed interest, and I got picked, and I paid, and I joined, and all of that. And I remember immediately, like in the process of becoming a member, I remember thinking in my head, like, this is really not for me. This isn't for me. I know that I'm not going to flourish in this, but I'm also not a quitter, y'all. So once I start something, I have to complete it, especially in that context, because quitting that, like, you don't want to quit that, right? And so once I started, I was like, I mean, I have to finish it. But I noticed the difference in my enthusiasm for it, and the girls that I was going through the process with. I will say that. I will also say though that going through the process helped me understand why people join sororities, why some people flourish in them, why some people come alive in them. I did create relationship with people that I did not know, which I wasn't good with before. I just was not a people person before. I'm a people person now, and I think that process had a lot to do with it, but I just wasn't a people person before. So I was able to create relationship with people that I did not know. And one of the girls that I was actually, one of my line sisters, we had beef before that. We had a little bit of beef, but I was able to build a relationship, and so I understood. I just still, in my gut, I was like, this is not for me. And when this is over, I don't really foresee myself being super active in this. And so I went through the process, you know, everything was done. And then the next semester, so I went through the process, and I pledged in the fall, and then the spring was time to run for Miss Lincoln, because you ran this semester before your senior year. So this was the second semester of my junior year of college. And so, you know, I put in to run for Miss Lincoln, and I did my thing, and all of my hard work paid off, and I won Miss Lincoln. And I'm probably going to start crying. I've said this before. If you've like seen me talk about it on my or heard me talk about it on my podcast, or seen me talk about it the small amount that I talk about it on Instagram, this was probably both one of the proudest moments in my life and one of the biggest losses outside of the death of my mom that I've ever experienced in my life. And obviously I came out on the other side of it, but I can't talk about that experience without tearing up, because I lost so much. I feel like I lost so much in that experience. But I ended up winning Miss Lincoln. I was so excited, so excited. And you know, all I remember is being in this like bubble of excitedness. And you know, I was meeting with the advisor from Miss Lincoln, and we were talking about suits and, you know, coronation dresses, and you know, my look, and just all of this stuff. And then the next minute, it was all gone. The next minute, it was literally all gone. So one day I get a call out the blue letting me know that I and the other girls in my chapter were being investigated for hazing. And between the day I got that call and maybe 2 to 3 weeks later, I was expelled. I was out of school, and I still don't even know the full details of what happened or what was supposed to happen, because it just happened so fast. And I don't know about anybody else, but I just was not getting the answers that I needed, or I just wasn't getting the answers to the questions that I was asking. And so I'm still really unclear about what was supposed to have happened, and I mean, I just still don't know. I remember meeting with the advisor and her giving us details of what was supposed to have been said or done or whatever. And I remember her saying, you have to meet with the disciplinary board. And that was the last time I saw that woman. That was the last time I saw that woman. I personally saw her. Now, again, I cannot speak for the other girls that are in my chapter, but that was the last time I saw that woman. That was the last time I talked to that woman. Haven't seen her, heard from her. I don't even remember her name, okay? And that's going to be important in the sorority portion of this story. Y'all, between the noise outside and people continuously emailing me for work, which I'm supposed to be doing work anyway, I'm never gonna make it through this story. Anyway, so I go to the meeting, and the meeting is with the disciplinary board, and it's student representatives on the disciplinary board, it's universal leadership, some professors and things like that. It's made up of a bunch of different people. And so I go to this meeting, and I'm sitting at the edge of this table. This is the first time that I've ever been in a situation like this. And it's just me. I don't have any representation. I don't have anybody telling me how to navigate this situation. I'm just there. And they are telling me all of these things that was supposed to have been said, or they were supposed to have seen, and all of that. And I'm asking questions like, do I get to see this stuff? You know, like, where's this stuff? Like, I need to see the evidence. Like, you're not gonna put me out of school. You're not gonna, you know, have me in this disciplinary hearing and give me a bunch of he said, she said shit. Like, I want to see what you're talking about. And that was never produced. They were just like, we don't have to do that. Like, you're on trial here. We're not on trial. And so I just sat in that meeting, and I felt very defeated. And the crazy thing is, one of the student representatives was a guy who was on the football team, and he was friends with a guy that I got in a fight with. Yes, one of the fights that I got into my freshman year of college was with a big old football player. And that's because my friends and I were in line trying to get breakfast, and he just walks up and cuts line. Sorry about the noise, y'all. He just walks up and cuts line, just cuts the lines like we ain't nothing. And when we called him on it, he just was like, don't talk to me. So my friend has like a little tray, and she literally cracked him over his head with the tray. And of course he defended himself. So we're like little ants trying to fight this big old tall black dreadhead football player. It was a whole thing. But anyway, one of the students on the board was his friend, and he brought that fight up and just was like, you've always been trouble. You got into a fight with my friend, I know for a fact. And I'm just like, dude, I was 18. I was fresh out the fucking projects, and in this environment that I didn't know anything about. And here was this guy being threatening to me and my friends. And where I'm from, when someone threatens you in the way that he made us feel threatened, you get them before they get you. Like, I didn't know any better, but I am almost 21 years old. Like, I am not the same person. Like, you cannot hold that against me. And so I left that meeting feeling very defeated, and I left that meeting knowing that this was the end. Like, in my heart, I knew that this was not going to end the way that I was hoping that it would end, but I was going to do everything that I could do to try to make that not so. So I did a few things after that meeting. The first thing that I did was I immediately called our advisor. I called that lady, I don't know, it must have been like 100,000 times. She never responded. She never responded to me. Never responded to me. When she didn't respond, I called our regional chapter. Never got an answer. When they didn't respond, I called nationals. I emailed them. I was just calling whoever I could call. Never got a response. Again, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for the other girls that were in my chapter. I don't know what steps they took, but I personally called everybody at my disposal within that organization for help, because I felt like maybe if I had representation, organization representation, did they have lawyers? I don't know. If I had somebody there then I wouldn't feel so defeated and maybe this would work out in my favor. Nobody ever responded to me. They were trash, just like these trash trucks that won't stop making all this damn noise. First the noise, and then my battery died. I had to change batteries. So when I realized that I was not going to get the help that I felt like I needed from the organization, I just immediately started applying to other schools, because I was like, this is it. This is it. I am about to lose it all. And I had a friend that went to TSU. I had also met a couple other people through like student leadership trips and stuff like that from TSU. And then that's where I ended up going, because it just made the most sense. It was only 4 hours from home. I had a really good friend from high school that went there. And so it just made the most sense. But I immediately start applying out to other schools, because I knew it wasn't going to work out for me. And ultimately it did not. Ultimately, I, along with all of the other girls in my chapter, was expelled from school. And let me say this. I did have the opportunity to stay in school. I actually had another meeting with just university leadership, and they basically pulled me in the office and it was like, you have a lot to lose. You just won Miss Lincoln. We do not want to put our Miss Lincoln out of school. If you sign an affidavit basically saying that what we are saying happened, then you're good. You can stay in school, right? And I feel like I know that they gave everybody within the chapter that had a lot, they felt like had a lot to lose, that same choice. We had quite a few girls that were scheduled to graduate that semester within like 2 to 3 weeks time. And so, and one of them took it. One of them took it. She was the only one to not get expelled and was able to graduate and go on and do whatever it is that she did. I did not take the deal, and I was expelled along with all the other girls in my chapter. And as I said, the girls that were scheduled to graduate, they were not allowed to graduate. They actually lost all of their credits from that semester, so they weren't even eligible to graduate. We were expelled indefinitely, so you couldn't come back. So even if you were trying to transfer credits, you were transferring with less credits than you actually had, which I also lost. So I lost 18 credit hours. I had taken 18 credit hours that semester. So I lost the 18 credit hours that I had taken. I had already taken most of my finals, so they were my credit hours. It'd be different if I hadn't taken finals, but I had completed finals and already passed those classes. So I felt like those were my credit hours, but I lost those. I also lost the title of Miss Lincoln, and I was expelled from school indefinitely. And as I said earlier, that experience was probably the second hardest experience of my life, because not only did I lose Miss Lincoln, which I was extremely sad about, but more importantly, I had failed at my initial goal in going to college, in that I had gotten expelled, and even if I went on to complete school, which I did, I had tarnished the experience. Like, it was not the perfect experience that I was trying to build to show my nieces and nephews so that they want to follow in my footsteps. I had like ruined Woo! Okay, I'm back. I had like ruined that experience. And so, second to losing my mom, that was probably the worst experience of my life. Like, it was really, really hard to deal with. And then on the flip side of that, when it comes to the organization and why I decided that it just wasn't something that I wanted to be associated with, on top of just not feeling like it meshed with who I am as a person, the way that they, in my opinion, just left us high and dry. And I'm like, anybody that I talk to that has experienced accusations of hazing or misconduct when it comes to organizations, they have pretty much the same experience, where these organizations just drop you like a bad habit. Like they act like you do not exist. Like sisterhood and brotherhood and camaraderie and all of this stuff is so important until you misrepresent them, or until you get in trouble, and then you just do not exist. They are not there for you in the way that you are there for them, you know, wearing their letters and, you know, getting people to be interested in the organization. Because at the end of the day, they need you. They need your joining fees. They need your dues. That is how they maintain as business, and you are a walking advertisement for them. So as soon as you are not beneficial to them anymore, they act like you don't exist. And I feel like that's what happened. They were not there for me when I needed them, and all I see is people being there for them as an organization, showing up for them every day, and you don't get that common courtesy. So for me, I'm the type of person where I forgive, because as I said, it all worked out for me, but I don't forget. And you only have one time leave me out here looking crazy, and that is it. So that also played a huge role in why I was like, oh no, I have to disassociate myself from that, because I'm not going to encourage people to be a part of something that I had a horrible experience with, right? I had a horrible experience with the organization itself, not necessarily the people in my chapter. That was a great experience, but the organization in and of itself would not recommend. Sororities in and of themselves, I just would not recommend. I mean, it is what it is. And as I said, I am all for other people being a part of them and being active in them and all of that. I get, you know, the idea and the premise around them. I just call bullshit on a lot of it. That's just me, though. That's just me. I just, you know, don't get on their bad side. That's all I'm saying. Or don't do something to make them look bad, honey, because that's it for you. You are done. Another thing that really left a bad taste in my mouth is I got a letter from them, first of all, informing me that I was suspended from the organization nationally for what happened at the school. So you knew that the situation exists. You knew that it existed. You knew enough to send me a letter and tell me that I was suspended. But on top of that, it's like, oh, but you can join again in 5 years for a small fee of X amount of dollars. I'm like, are y'all fucking kidding me? I'm like, is this a game to you? I've lost everything. I emailed and called you people for at least a week every day, and I never got anything, and you send me a letter telling me that's okay, I don't want to be a part of it. And so yeah, that was pretty much it for me. And when I got to TSU, I did, you know, try to like engage with the girls in my organization on that campus, and just maybe see if I could like forgive and forget. And that didn't work. I almost got put out of school again, because one of the girls in that chapter, who was actually the chapter president, her and I literally almost came to blows, like a fist fight, because she was upset at the fact that I hung pretty much exclusively with girls in another organization. But I'm like, girl, one of my closest friends from home is in that organization. I don't know nobody else here. Who the hell else am I supposed to hang with? Like, you? I don't know you like that. I just was trying to like see what this was all about, and that experience again just let me know, oh no, this isn't for me, because I'm not into groupthink. You're not gonna tell me who I can and can't hang out with. Like, I don't roll like that. I don't give a damn what color they wear. If I want to hang out with them, I'm gonna hang out with them, and you're not gonna make me feel bad about that. And so I just was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And so I haven't been active, or you won't see me wearing paraphernalia. You probably won't see me doing a lot of like Founders Day celebrating and stuff like that. Every once in a while I'll say something. If somebody tags me in something or something like that, I'm gonna respond. I'm not a biatch like that, where I'm just like, I'm not doing that. But like, you won't see me taking the initiative to promote sororities or my organization in general, because I'm not into them. So that is why I was expelled from school and subsequently denounced my sorority. As I said, this is not a like crusade against sororities. If you like them, I love them. That's fine. They do have some positives. I do see people that flourish in them. 'Tis just not me. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.